Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by Bronx. This is Human Design Teens. This is Human Design Talk. That's so hard to say. And I'm your host, Boogie Down Bronx, here to talk about emotional authority versus sacral authority. Let me see if I want to change that light. Whoa. Nah, we just gonna stick with that one. That one's more clear. All right, so I was prompted this morning. I felt the urge in my sacral. I'm a generator. I was excited to do this video. Like, I didn't plan this. I didn't even know what I was gonna do video-wise today, because I go back and forth between the tarot and the human design now. But people keep bringing up like different things about sacral authority, and I have emotional authority, so I don't, to the fullest extent, always understand what sacral authority is going through. But as people have been really explaining and telling me their perspectives and like what happens on a daily basis, I'm like, okay, emotional authority and sacral authority are quite literally opposites, right? Sacral authority is closer to splenic, honestly, because it's more in the moment decision making. So I'm gonna break down the two so you know how to discern, the two. And this is going to be advice for emotional, and then we're going to go over sacral because there's a lot more intricate details I want to talk about with sacral and things to remember, because I see people struggling with sacral authority a lot more than emotional authority. Okay, so let's get into it. Emotional authority. So if you have emotional authority, you can be a manifester, you can be a projector, you can be a generator, you can be a manifesting generator, not a reflector, because reflectors don't have any inner authority. So you can be any type except for reflector. But emotional authority. So if you have emotional authority, that means that your solar plexus or emotional center is colored in. If you have that colored in, you automatically have emotional authority. So you have an emotional wave, that's what it's called. And this is going to be the determining factor of decision making. So I think there's like, I don't remember the exact percentage, like 50% of the population is emotional authority. So most people have to ride this emotional wave. Most people who are unaware do not, which means that before you make a decision, you have to go through the full range of emotions to know what to decide. The bigger the decision, the longer the emotional wave most likely you have to ride. So what this looks like is like, okay, somebody or a job gives you a offer or a response, or if you're a projector, you get invited to do some really, really big projects, right? If you have emotional authority, you, instead of just saying, yes, I want that on the spot because it sounds good, allow some time. The emotions need to fluctuate. You need to weigh out the pros and cons. Emotional authority is really bad at being impulsive, really bad at being too spontaneous with decisions. You should never be spontaneous with a decision ever, especially if you're in a very high emotional place, which can be confusing because you're emotional, right? Excitement is tied up in emotions. So you could be extremely excited and think that, okay, this means this is for me. But then, you ride the wave a little bit and you're starting to see, okay, no, there's some things that I don't feel good about or excited about. And, this can be a bit scary because you're like, you want to make sure that you're not self-sabotaging or allowing the opportunity to pass. But one, what's meant for you will never pass you by. And two, because you have a defined emotional center, you can always trust your feelings, okay? As far as like them being able to bring you clarity is what I mean, right? So there's truth in your feelings, and you have to embrace the feelings, the highs, the lows, the middles. And then once you get to a place where you're pretty much neutral, like you're centered enough and you still feel excited about the opportunity, then you can take it. Just like any emotion, the excitement may decrease ever so slightly because you rode out the wave, right? But it will still be there enough to make you say, okay, I want to go towards this. So something else you need to know with emotional authority is there is no truth in the now. How you feel at this exact very moment or in the midst of an opportunity coming your way, some type of invitation coming your way. There's no truth in that now. You need to wait. Like, some waves will last longer. Like, some waves you only need a few minutes, some a day or two, some weeks, some months. You don't know how long it's going to take until you reach a place of emotional neutrality as much as possible. But you always need to remember, your strategy is like the opening of your energy, right? Before an opportunity comes in, but your authority has the final say. So your emotional authority has the final say so in deciding something. So let's say you ride that emotional wave out and you're in a place where you're still not sure, right? Or you still feel off about making the decision, you still feel hesitant, uncertain, like, or you never really got excitement from it, you just were gonna accept it or go towards something. Like, if you're a manifester, like some inspiration came to you, you rode out your emotional wave and you waited, but you're still not sure if you want to take on that whatever. That's most likely a no, or that's like a not right now, right? So there has been times in my life where if you have to like go with what's most consistent, right? So when I was like a while ago, I was really hesitant about being with someone, right? In a romantic relationship. And I would have days where it was, yes, I wanted to be with them. No, this was before I knew about emotional authority, but it was more consistently, I'm not sure. It was more consistently I don't think I want to, versus more consistently a yes. So that means that I was supposed to go with the no, because that's what was most consistent throughout the whole thing. I had very small, brief periods of where I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that, but nowhere near as many as the I'm not sure. So go with whichever one is outweighing, okay? So if you go against your authority and make decisions during a high or low emotional state, you most likely will regret it. So this is like if you get into an argument with somebody and you have emotional authority, your emotions, because they're high, you're going to want to cuss them out. You're going to want to say things you will regret. You're going to want to cut them off. When your emotions come back down, you're going to be like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I say? Most people struggle with this with emotional authority. They do things in the heat of the moment, whether that's good or bad, and afterwards regret it because it does something irreversible. I've had many experiences with this as emotional authority where I was very upset in the moment and I said things, or I burned a bridge, and I did feel regretful, remorseful afterwards. I felt some guilt. So, you can prevent these situations from happening because you are now aware, you have an emotional wave to know how you should best handle the situation if you let some time pass, okay? And this is good advice for everyone, but especially for emotional authority. So the last few things, you will never have 100% clarity because your emotions are never going to be just still and consistent, right? So as long as you are at least 70 to 80% sure about your decision, that's a good sign to go towards it, right? Because emotional authority, you will get really caught up in the fact that you always have some type of doubt. You never feel 100% certain, or maybe you feel like 99%, and there's just that one little degree of uncertainty or doubt or fear, whatever the case may be, but you're mainly excited, you're mainly sure about what you want to do. Sorry. But, just know, don't put too much pressure on yourself to ever have 100% certainty because it will never likely be that. Okay? Like I said earlier, you can trust your own emotions because they're defined, you have consistent access to them, and they're not usually influenced by outside sources. Anything that's influenced by outside sources are coming from your open or undefined centers, which is where you receive external energy more, and you receive conditioning from that, usually. So yeah, again, sorry y'all, my eyebrow is itching. Go figure. Emotional authority has trouble jumping in too early while emotions and excitement are high. So learn to slow down, be less spontaneous, and sleep on decisions, okay? Try to be calculated from now on. After watching this video, be more calculated with decision making, okay? It'll really help you out in the long run. Take the pressure off of yourself if you've been conditioned to decide things in the moment, decide things too early, without giving yourself enough time. You know, take your time as much as you possibly can. Some decisions need, like, you know, are on a tighter time constraint. But like I said, those smaller decisions most likely are not life or death, so they won't take longer to know exactly, you know, what to do. So yeah, that's emotional authority. That's everything you need to know in a nutshell, where you need to start learning. Now, sacral authority, again, because I'm on the outside looking in, I'm just going based off of stories people tell me, talking to you guys, experiences, observing people with sacral authority, hearing their struggles, their challenges. I have a much better understanding of why you guys struggle with discernment when it comes down to emotions and things like that, because I have defined sacral and I have defined emotional. So I can discern easily the difference between the two. I know what's anxiety versus what's excitement versus what's emotions, all different things, you know. But you guys, you don't have that solar plexus center defined. So that means you don't have consistent access to emotions, emotional clarity. You don't always know the difference between other people's emotions, between your emotions, between excitement, between anxiety. It's like everything is just all mixed up together, right? So for sacral authority, emotions are like a sponge soaking up everything. When you have undefined solar plexus, you automatically have sacral authority, which only generators can have, because only generators have a defined sacral. So you take in undefined centers, you take in energy from outside and you amplify it. So you're always pulling in the energy of the defined emotional centers, and you're you know, you're feeling it, you're making it louder. So if you have an open or undefined solar plexus, which you do, that center has been conditioned. So there's been a lot of conditioning around emotions. So this could be from your parents, from friends, where you're conditioned to just absorb all emotions, take them all in as your own. You know, whatever it is that you feel like emotions have been conditioned into you, or like you can't, you know, fully rely, like you're trying to always have this certainty about how you feel and this consistency about how you feel, and that just isn't going to be the case, because it's never going to be consistent if it's undefined, right? So what I've noticed is that sacral authority often gets confused with anxiety and excitement, right? Your sacral is where you're going to have the gut feelings, the exciting feelings. And so where you're experiencing conditioning from your open or undefined solar plexus is where you're experiencing anxiety and other emotions clouding your sacral responses, right? And that's where you need to do the deconditioning. Now, you need to trust your gut in the moment, and you don't need to sleep on decisions. Your yes or no does show up in the now. So that's why it's opposite of emotional authority. Emotional authority, we need to sleep on it. We need to wait. Our truth is not in the now. It's in the future somewhere. And sacral authority, your truth shows up pretty much in the present moment, when somebody asks you a question, when you're offered to do something, or, you know, when you have to ask yourself if you have the energy or the desire to do something, go towards somebody. Okay? So, yeah, like I said, your yes or no comes in the now. It shows up pretty soon after that. But the biggest issue that sacral authority has, and I touched on this a little bit in the last generator video, or the first one rather, with the frustration, is sacral authority procrastinates way too much. Way too much. And I realize it's really a bad pattern with sacral authority is procrastinating. And you guys need to get more in tune with acting faster. So you could have been conditioned, oh, you know, don't be spontaneous, wait to make decisions. No, you guys need to not wait so much. You wait too long, and then it's like the response is gone. The response expires. So listen to the little voice in the back of your mind saying, yes, do that, go for it. You know, if you feel excited about it, do it. Or that little voice in the back of your mind that is talking you out of, you know, doing something that you know you don't want to do, right? So it's trying to give you that confirmation and you ignore it. You go do the thing, you're completely drained and frustrated. Or you are getting that pull, that signal, I should say something, I should do something. You go against it, you don't do it. You get frustrated, or there's regret there, or you're like, I should have did it, I should have said it, you know. So that's where procrastination comes in, where you wait too long to listen to those feelings, and then it's like you're going against that sacral. But again, this is not anything that's like a quick fix. This is something that's going to take a long time to start to condition yourself, especially if you're somebody who had a lot of, like, you know, you've done things opposite your whole life. You can't just expect to like pick this up one day and be like, okay, now I know what I need to do. No, you have to practice. You have to go through. You have to keep trying, keep going. Okay. And I made a thread about this on Twitter, and I'll give you like a little bit of examples of, you know, one thing my friend told me literally this morning. She just told me these are things that she does, and I was like, that's crazy, because I'm doing a video on sacral authority today. So the main thing is, like, you need to ground your energy, okay? Because your emotions, you don't have consistent access into knowing which emotions are yours and which ones are not. So you're probably always pulling in other people's emotions. So doing grounding exercises while being by yourself will really help you. So, and this will help you release outside emotions that you're carrying so you can feel your body better. So grounding could be reading a book, yoga, listening to music, taking a nap, cooking, playing the piano, anything you like to do that you're doing it by yourself is very calming, very soothing, to help you discharge the emotions of the day or people you've been around. As long as you can get somewhere by yourself, even in your car, you know, just trying to meditate. Some people only have free time or alone time in their car. So to feel your body and understand what's yours. Then the next thing is boundaries. Do not let highly emotional people or negative people around you when you're trying to make decisions. They will interfere with your gut responses or gut excitement. So like I said, you're taking in those emotions, right? So if you know that every time you get around your mama, every time you get around this friend, this whoever, your emotions get all out of whack because you're sacral authority, you know that's why, because you're pulling in their energy, right? And you're also pulling it in from any other undefined centers you have. So you need to be around either some grounded energy, some logical people that can help you decide, you know, versus like these highly emotional people that are really confusing you, you know, to help you make a decision. Or you need to just be by yourself and, you know, decide, like ask yourself yes or no questions to build up the feeling of yes, or have somebody else ask you yes or no questions so you know what yes feels like in the body. And I'll explain that in a minute. But another thing my friend was saying to me is, like, this morning she was feeling very like anxious, and sacral authority does tend to just get a lot of anxiety built up in the body, I've noticed. And so she was really feeling anxious, and something about anxiety, it really is created in the mind, and the body has a response to that, right? So the body is responding to fears made up here, right? Anxiety made here. It's not the other way around. So in order to get rid of that, and like the body to know, hey, we're not in any real danger here, we're okay, you have to keep moving, right? So she got up and went to the gym, she did cardio, and she did feel a lot better. So many of you should consider, when you're feeling that anxiety, like, and it's hard to hear your excitement, your gut responses, everything feels mixed up together, go do some working out, take a walk, you know, do some jumping jacks. Jumping jacks are really good to relieve some anxiety in the body, or anything physical, you know, anything. So that's something great for you. And so, yeah, lastly, for the sacral here, practicing the yes or no questions. So in order to really understand what yes feels like in the body, because, you know, if you're just learning this information, it's hard to just think about it and you're not getting anything to respond to, right? So sorry if you guys hear something. They're vacuuming outside the door of my complex. That's what they do. But you guys need to ask yourself yes or no questions. Like, ask yourself yeses that you know are yeses, right? Or have somebody ask you. So like, somebody ask you, is your name Ashley? If your name is Ashley, you would be like, yes. So you know what that feels like, right? Or like have somebody ask you things that they know are yes. Like, is your favorite color whatever? You'll feel that yes. Do you like to eat so and so food? Yes, right? So have somebody ask you a lot of yeses, and then have somebody ask you like at the end like a no, so you can feel that shift, like you feel that drop off, right? Like somebody asks you, is your name Pedro? And you're like, no. So you can feel the energetic shift. So those are things that you're looking out for. Or if you're asking yourself questions, ask yourself a series of yes questions that are facts about you, and then ask yourself something that is not true, or you don't like, to get that shift in feeling. So then you start to really understand, okay, I see how subtle it can be, or dramatic it can be, but it is a shift indeed. So these are things that will really help you, sacral authority, to learn how to release anxiety, hear your gut feelings more, and be more spontaneous in the moment, making decisions when you feel the energy pull you. Okay. So that's what we have for emotional versus sacral. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe eventually, hopefully, I will get to all of like the authorities. Like, I'm not doing this in any order because I'm a generator, and if I'm teaching y'all how to generate and how to be in response, then I need to also honor that and be in response. So this video came in response to two things. It would have came regardless, because I saw something on Twitter about sacral authority. Then I was already decided I was going to make it, and then I got another response where my friend with sacral authority was telling me this stuff. So it would have happened regardless. So something like that will come up again for like other authority types, like splenic, ego, but I'm not going to do it from the mind just because I feel like I should do it, right? It'll come. So guys, just be patient, and I'll have something to respond to in no time. So thank you. I am at Sacral by Bronx and everything.